Would I be the a-hole if I refused to babysit my ex-wife's child in an emergency? I, 30 male, have a child with my ex-wife, 30 female. We married young, had our child young, and then she cheated on me with her current husband. After the divorce, she had a child with her husband. I have never had any kind of relationship or presence in this child's life. I communicate with my ex-wife through an app called Our Family Wizard, and we see each other very infrequently. I keep things civil when I do see her or her husband for the sake of my child, but I do not pretend to be friends, and I have no respect for either of them. My ex-wife's husband was recently diagnosed with cancer. She told me this in person at a school event for our child. While telling me, she admitted they no longer had a support network and were concerned about what would happen in an emergency with their child. She asked if I would be willing to babysit in an emergency situation, since our child would be dropped off to me in the event of one anyway. I told her I would not and would appreciate it if she didn't ask me again. But ask me again she did, before I could leave. She told me I didn't understand the lack of support they have and how their child should be protected the same as ours. She said I surely wouldn't say no in an actual emergency. I told her to have something else in place for an emergency and not to rely on me, because I do not want to be left caring for her child with the man she cheated on me with. I told her she needed to let it go before our child picked up on any tension. She texted me afterward and said I needed to reconsider because they had no other options. I replied that my answer was still no, and to please use the app only going forward. My attorney said it was the right move because it's documented in case she ever tries to drop her child off with me. He has filed it away in case we ever need it in the future. This isn't about the legal aspect, though. I wonder if my refusal would make me an a-hole in an actual emergency, when according to her, nobody would babysit their child. My ex-wife is clearly very stressed, so maybe I'm not showing the compassion I should. I find it hard to have any for them after everything they did. But the child wasn't a part of it, and my lack of concern for the child might be a-hole worthy, especially in an emergency situation. Would I be the a-hole? Now for the top comments. They need to speak to the social worker at the hospital where he is receiving treatment to see what services might be available to them. That's something I might keep in mind to suggest if she brings it up in person again. If she brings it up in person, I'd suggest replying through the family app. To make it clear, the answer is no. Suggest talking to a social worker via the app as well. That way it's documented that you've declined and shows there's alternate options she can explore that don't involve you. Not the a-hole. You owe her and her child with her husband nothing. They have no support system because they are a-holes. Tell her you will keep your child for as long as needed. That's how you can help them. I told her that, which she didn't like very much. She said it didn't take care of her other child, which I ignored. Not the a-hole. She needs to find another option that does not include the unrelated ex-husband that she cheated on. As a doctor, I can attest that the world is full of people who bring their child with them to the hospital or ER if they have no other choice, and also when they do have another choice. If things are that bad, if the child's father is being admitted and about to die, the ER can usually find a social worker to help them figure it out. As a matter of fact, if he has cancer, he should have a caseworker. That person may have access to resources. The county where I live has an emergency nursery just for people like this, not the a-hole. Or you call the ambulance and meet them there later, after you've figured out the child care situation. My husband had to go to the hospital after being very sick for 4 days and was in very bad shape. He finally told me to call the ambulance about an hour before our 7-year-old woke up for school. He told me to stay with her, get her to school, and then come to the hospital after. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to promise my future salary to my autistic brother because my parents feel I owe the family after a childhood of neglect? I was born a year and 9 months after my brother. He's now 19 and I'm 18. My mom always told me, he has no one but you and me. At 8 years old, my older brother was diagnosed with autism. My mom and dad tried to deny it for a while, taking him to doctor after doctor with the same result: autism. My dad didn't take it well. He started saying how God had cursed his family. My dad's not even that religious, and kept complaining. Because of that, I had the misfortune of being the healthy one. My mom didn't pay much attention to me. I remember times I would be sad and she'd say, "Oh, how do you think your brother feels?" And it keeps going to this day. Then for my unfortunate luck, I got a new brother when I was 7, just more pain for me. That one had epilepsy. One night my mom was changing his diapers and he had an epileptic seizure. It was 3 a.m. My mom and dad ran out of the house so fast and I remember being confused. I stayed up for a long time. At 10 a.m., my older cousin arrived to take me and my older brother to my grandparents' house. My baby brother needed to stay for 12 days in the hospital for treatment or whatever. During this time, my dad and mom and my aunt took my 2 brothers to the zoo and the amusement park and took them to a restaurant, then to my older brother's appointment. When I asked if they brought me anything, they said, "No, your brother deserves it more." Now, 10 years later, I'm being told that if I get a job, I need to give a part of my future salary to my older brother. When I said it's not my job and I want to be a writer and live in a foreign country, my mom started guilt-tripping me, saying, "It's selfish. Your brother deserves to be a part of your family." Now I feel like the most selfish person ever. I'm not saying I hate my mom or my brother. I know people went through more than I went through, but I just need to talk about it and wanted to talk to strangers, real people. Not the a-hole. Why do you need to give your future salary to your brother when your family hasn't given you the respect you need to tithe your salary in return? I believe it may be best for you to cut them off if you don't need anything from them. I think the parents are trying to set up OP to become financially responsible for her sibling so they can duck. Not the a-hole. I have autism too, though my parents didn't know that until I was 11. I have a sister who is 13 months older than me. She doesn't have autism. I noticed my parents were neglecting her. Unfortunately, that was when I was 15. The moment I noticed, I told my parents they were being unfair. Besides, doesn't your brother have a job? On the scale of normal to classic autism, extreme, I fall closer to classic autism and I can work for at least 28 hours a week. You are not your brother's keeper. Your parents wanted kids. It's their problem, not yours. I also have ASD, and I am not my siblings' keeper, nor are they mine. As I am level 1, I have accepted that the responsibility for self-care is on me, and that if I work hard, I'll probably be all right. Same, I just take it slow and steady. I also make sure to call my parents out if I ever catch them favoring me or my little sister, who has light autism, over my older sister. But that hasn't happened in years. Your brother will be part of your family, but that doesn't mean your parents get to tell you to sacrifice your life and the lives of future children for him. Just nod, go and leave the issue of saying no for when you have that job and no longer live with them. Next story. Am I the a-hole because I won't keep my issues with dad away from his 9-year-old stepdaughter? My mom unalived herself when I 17 was 6. It was just me and dad for years after, and he wasn't a good parent. I couldn't go to him if I had a problem, and he didn't make time for me. Mostly it was babysitters who took care of me and friends' parents if they were willing to let me hang out at their house after school. I tried talking to him and I asked for his time or attention, but he never gave it. And I gave up asking. 3 years ago, he started dating a single mom with a son, now 15, and a daughter, now 9. Her son lived mostly with his dad, so my dad wasn't super involved in his life. But her daughter was with her full-time, and my dad stepped up to be this super involved dad. He takes her for ice cream, helps her with her hair, plays pretend with her, helps her with homework, and all kinds of stuff. They even have specific daddy-daughter activities they do together. When she got really sick last year, he stayed with her in the hospital all 3 days. Her mom was the one who left and went home at night. Him staying with her at the hospital is when I was done. It was the sign that he had grown as a parent, but didn't give a damn about his real kid. I stopped hoping we could figure our relationship out later and started planning to have nothing to do with him ever again. A few months ago, the girl started asking to spend time with me. She wanted me to play with her or do her hair, and she asked if she could come to the store with me. I'd say no and keep doing what I was doing. She didn't give up, though, and I didn't give in. A few times she called me her sister, and I corrected her and moved on. My dad decided to ask me for her because he thought I'd say yes. He said she wanted to have a princess tea party, and he thought I should play with her. I told him to go F himself, and he was like, "What's with the hostility?" I told him he didn't get to play Dad of the Year to someone else's kid and ask me for stuff. His wife was like, "Save the conversation for later," and Dad walked away. But he brought it up several other times, and I always pointed out he wasn't a good dad to me, so why would I be a sister to the kid he decided to play dad to? Every time, his wife got annoyed that her daughter was there and could hear. My dad said he wanted to figure out a way to bring us, me and his stepdaughter, together. So what if we did family therapy and tried to figure things out? That pissed me off even more. I said, so he'd do therapy with me for someone else's kid, but not for me so he could be a dad to me? I asked him why he thought that would make me pretend I'm that girl's sister. I said he just made me want to leave more and more. He said he was trying, and any attempt should be respected. I told him if he has to try for her and not me, then he can go join my mom or stay the heck away from me. His wife lost her mind and told me my issues with Dad are not her daughter's fault, and I need to stop fighting about them when she's there. I told her to control her husband then and get him to leave me alone, and her daughter doesn't need to hear any of it. I heard her complain about me for like an hour after she lost it, and then she complained to Dad about him not letting it go. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. He should probably stop bringing it up when she can hear you then. That's on your dad. He must think that OP will respond differently if she knows the little girl is within earshot. The first time that OP gave him a blunt rejection and paid no mind to who could and couldn't overhear it, he should have realized that tactic is going to fail every time. The fact that he keeps trying to do the same thing that has already failed spectacularly suggests that he's really not interested in anything but getting his own way. He's certainly not interested in learning from his mistakes, any of his mistakes, starting with atoning for the way he ignored his own daughter during her formative years. Stepmom is right about one thing. It truly is not the kid's fault your dad is a POS to you. Stepmom is also wrong about one thing. It is not your fault your dad keeps picking fights with you in front of her kid. Your feelings are 100% justified. He didn't care about you. It's clear that he still doesn't, as he offered therapy for you and the stepdaughter, instead of you and him. Maybe he realized he was a bad father and he tries not to make the same mistake again with the other girl, but that is basically like twisting the knife in your back. You deserve better. Tell your father to leave you alone. Tell him how much he hurt you and that he cannot fix it anymore. Your relationship with him will never be the same, and he cannot force his relationship with his stepdaughter on you either. Also, prepare to leave once you are 18. Save up money, ask grandparents if you can move in with them, or try to secure a scholarship at some college far away. It's not worth your mental health to deal with him and his new family. I don't have relatives. My best friend's parents are going to let me move in with them once I'm 18, so that's my plan. They've done more for me than he has, so it felt like a good idea to accept. Last story. Am I the a-hole for destroying my relationship with my daughter and ending my marriage? I, 41 male, have been with my wife, 41 female, for 24 years. We have 3 kids, 2 of whom are adults, 21 female and 18 male. My marriage has been a bit rocky for a few years. I have been racked with anxiety, stress, and fear, which I have let affect me and our marriage. A few weeks ago, my daughter came to me and told me that, through work with her therapist, she has determined that trauma she experienced during her childhood caused by me is responsible for her failed relationships and bad behavior. I shut it down. I told her all her good qualities should be her focus. This worsened our relationship, as she said I wasn't listening and continued to double down on me taking accountability. I told her I certainly made mistakes, and a lot of them, but I did my best. The rift significantly worsened when she told me that wasn't good enough and that I didn't do my best, along with other comments that I took as disrespectful and hurtful, such as, "You only have an emotional connection if it benefits you." I then began to seek guidance. I spoke about the situation with multiple family members and friends, as well as my therapist. 9 out of 10, including my mother and brother, told me she was being disrespectful and that she needs to experience life and gain perspective. I tried multiple olive branches to smooth it over to no avail. Finally, after trying and her refusing to speak to me, I told her my name is on the deed, and implied that if she wouldn't talk to me, then she could get out. This had devastating consequences. My wife immediately told me if I kicked her out, she would divorce me. Several horrible arguments erupted, culminating in my daughter calling the cops on me, trying to have me removed from my home. It didn't work because I was not physical or violent. I recorded the whole fight, and while I am not innocent, my wife and daughter said some things that really hurt me. I thought, this is it. There is no coming back. My anger towards my daughter for the entire situation came to a head from her calling the cops, and I told her, "Don't talk to me like I'm your father. You are no daughter of mine." I regretted it instantly. All in one moment, I saw all of the hurt and pain this caused her. I can't stop seeing her crying because of me. I feel like my support system led me down the wrong path. Now my daughter wants nothing to do with me. My wife says divorce is non-negotiable, and I feel lost, confused, broken, and angry. My mother-in-law talked to me and helped me see the forest through the trees. But it's done, and I screwed everything up. Diving deeper, that anxiety, stress, and fear have made me insufferable and difficult, and my wife has had enough. I want to save my family. I love my wife and daughter. I'm an idiot. However, my mom and brother say I did and am doing the right thing. It sure doesn't feel like it. Am I the a-hole? I feel like my support system led me down the wrong path. I beg you the finest pardon? You are shameless and have zero accountability. Just audacity. You're the biggest a-hole. Exactly. OP, my father was pretty emotionally abusive when I was a child. It caused lasting trauma. We have an amazing relationship now and are closer than my mom and I, because he's taken accountability for his screw-ups, has apologized, and changed his behavior. He helps more with my kids than any other grandparent and is allowed to be alone with them, which would have been inconceivable a decade ago. This was refreshing to read. On Reddit, you don't often hear the stories with happier endings like yours. Some people actually do accept accountability and improve themselves as a result. 9 out of 10 people said you are right. Was the one who said you were wrong the therapist? The best saying I ever heard about confronting parents about childhood trauma is, "Of course you don't remember X trauma thing, because it was damaging to me and just a Wednesday to you." I like to say it as, the axe forgets, but the tree remembers.